So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. So there is a bit change in the schedule of the program. So earlier we used to do it on 10 a.m. Every day except for the weekends. But now we will be doing it at 10:30 because of the convenience. There are many students which they were asking to push it little backwards. So we have taken that into consideration and we will be doing at 10:30 now onwards from Monday to Friday. Okay. So let's take a look at today's newspaper. We'll start with the front page and then we'll move towards these three important articles, that is COP28, which has been concluded, and there are some outcomes which we'll be discussing, and there are some shortcomings. There were few expectations from this particular conference, but the thing is they could not reach to their potential. And then revised criminal reforms bill. You know that Home Minister has placed few bills, 3 bills basically on the table of the Parliament, and then the Standing Committee of the Parliament has suggested some changes, and then they have made some changes, and these revised bills are again in the domain. Then now India shifts stands in UNGA. So basically in the General Assembly, you know that there was voting on the resolution related to war in Gaza, and on that particular resolution India has also voted, and they have voted in favor of the truce. Okay. Earlier when it happened, their stand was different. We will see how it was different and what were the reason behind it. Other than that, we will look at some world affairs and then practice questions as usual. Okay. So as you can see the front page here, so there was this breach in the security of Parliament, and some kind of smoke canister was exploded in the Parliament, and which caused some kind of panic. Now 13th December is the date when in 2001 there was parliamentary attack. You know that there was some terrorist attack on 13th December 2001. Those attacks, it is anniversary of that attack, and today on this day this particular incident happened. Now the problem here is that Parliament is the most important institution in India, considering this is the law making body, all of the representative of the country sits here. Okay. If there is some kind of breach like this, even a commoner can go inside the Parliament with something like that, some antisocial element like that. Okay. So there are cause of concerns. Okay. Considering that Speaker of the Lok Sabha has called for an investigation. Okay. The committee has there will be a committee which will investigate all the security related issues. Okay. There is nothing much in this particular article. If there is some kind of article or explained further in the newspaper tomorrow, or let's say day after tomorrow, we will discuss it then. But as of now, there are no more details as well. Okay, there were 2 accused, they have been identified. So that is about the Parliament big breach in the security. And then for the first time, nation strikes a deal to move away from fossil fuel, which we will discuss, because I have told you that we will be discussing about COP28, and this is outcome of COP28 only, and we will also discuss some shortcomings from the explained section, as well as we will take this article as okay. And then India shifts stands back UNGA resolution on immediate ceasefire. As I told you that earlier India had a different stand, and now they have voted in favor of immediate ceasefire. Okay. So we will have a look at this particular thing. Now let's start with the first article of the day, that is, for first time nation strikes a deal to move away from the fossil fuel. Despite all the debates on the climate change, despite all the debates on constraining the change in temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius, knowing that fossil fuel is the most important reason behind that. Okay. Most of the emissions are because of the fossil fuel. Still then, this is the first time they have struck a deal to move away from the fossil fuel, because there are various reasons behind that. Various countries do not want this particular step, because obviously when we are talking about the countries which are in the developing phase, or the global south countries, or the countries like India, China, these countries are trying to make themselves economically developed, and in the process they need fossil fuel for their industrial processes. Okay. That is why they cannot go for absolute phasing away of this particular type of fuels. Okay. That is why there has never been some kind of consensus to phase out fossil fuels, but now they have said that we will be moving away from this particular fossil fuel, or you can say coal, etc. Now the thing is, despite agreeing for a deal, there is no clear cut pathway or roadmap. How will you do that? Okay, so that is one shortcoming. So let's see. Representatives from nearly 200 countries at COP28 meeting in Dubai struck down a new climate deal on Wednesday that for the first time called upon them to transition away from fossil fuel and operationalization of the loss and damage fund. So in the previous COP, there was this loss and damage fund which was created to kind of mitigate the impact of the climate related disaster in the smaller countries, okay, in the developing countries, you can say. For that, this fund was made, but the thing is it was never operationalized in the last year, okay. In this particular summit, with the starting of the summit also, you can say some countries pledged some fund in this particular some kind of money in this particular fund, that is nearly $475 million, okay. Now this fund has been, somehow you can say operationalized with this particular event, and then the current amount of money in this fund can be traced to nearly around $800 billion, okay, million dollars. So that is about this operationalization of the loss and damage fund, okay. Other than that, there was one more important decision that was taken, that is the tripling of the global renewable energy installed capacity, okay. They are talking about the installed capacity and for the renewable energy, okay. So that is renewable energy capacity, they wanted to triple it, okay. Even in G20, countries like India has gone for such commitments, okay. So India has not pledged it in the COP28 because they have already done in the G20, okay. Other than that, China and Russia did not do it in the G20 as well. Now all these things, all these steps were taken just to make sure that we can restrict the temperature rise well within the limits of 1.5 degrees Celsius. But as of now, till now, if we consider, there has always been a change of 1 degree Celsius, okay. So all the fight is just for the 0.5 degrees Celsius, okay. Now here they also agreed to accelerate the development of zero and low emission technologies like renewable energy, nuclear energy, carbon capture and storage, okay. They have looked into the ideas like renewable energy, nuclear energy and carbon capture, etc., so that whatever fossil related emission is there, or let's say whatever carbon emission is there, we can capture it back, or we can reduce the emission only by using renewable energy and the nuclear energy, okay. Now earlier provision, when we are talking about coal, they have in the proposal they have suggested that no country can go for any new coal power related power plants, okay, any kind of new coal related power plants. Now the thing is, various countries are against this. Because of that, in the final deal they have said that we will be moving away from the coal as well, okay. They have said that accelerated efforts toward the phase down of the unabated coal power, okay. So they are saying that for the phase down and not any stringent efforts like no coal powered plant at all, okay. So that is why you can say that this is what they have actually agreed in Glasgow summit 2 years ago. So they did not change anything from that. So we are repeating the language of Glasgow here. They have just said that we will be moving away from the coal power as well. So all these decisions, like this particular related to coal power, this has aided some smaller island nations because they are on the verge of extinction because of the rise in the sea level, okay. So they are quite vulnerable when we are talking about climate change, and that is why they are worried here. Association of Small Island States, a group of island countries that face worse impact of climate change, could not hide the disappointment, okay. And then there is a mention of this Samoa Island, okay, in the Pacific. Now it is your job to look for this island's location because it was mentioned here, you must know about it, okay. Now then, fossil fuels, oil, natural gas, coal and their derivatives contribute nearly 80% of the emission, okay. When we are talking about these fossil fuels, whatever oil, gas related entities, all these contribute 80% of the all greenhouse gas emissions, but there was no deal on such fuels earlier in the various whatever conferences we have seen in the past, okay. Now 43% of the reduction in the greenhouse gas emission by 2030 from 2019 levels is necessary if you want to reach the 1.5 degree Celsius pathway. Okay, so this data can be important, that 43% reduction in the global greenhouse gas emission by 2030 from 2019 level, which is what science says must be done to remain on the 1.5 degree Celsius pathway. Okay, and this cannot be achieved without moving away from the fossil fuel, because nearly, as I told you, that nearly 80% of the emissions are because of this particular thing, and if you don't move away from this, obviously we cannot hit this particular target. Okay, now the thing is, why we are not able to move away from these things, that countries like let's say India, China, they are dependent on coal and oil for their economies, industrialization, etc. Then there are oil producing countries, let's say Saudi Arabia, Russia. All these countries do not want to move away from the oil, because obviously it will impact their economy. Countries like Saudi Arabia, etc., they are dependent on the oil economy. Okay, they are not diversified yet. They are making efforts in that regard, but not yet. Okay, so the thing is, countries like Saudi Arabia are major oil producers. They insist that the focus should be on the capture of that carbon. Okay, whatever emission we are going for, that focus should be to either capture that particular thing or to reduce that, and not to go put a ban on the fossil fuel or the oil related energies. Okay, so that is the argument of Saudi Arabia. The world had to transition away from the fossil fuel if you want to hit this particular target. Okay, two of the most meaningful outcomes from the COP were operationalization of the loss and damage fund, which we have seen, and second was the tripling of the global renewable energy capacity by 2030. These were wide accepted and appreciated. Okay, and this loss and damage fund, as I told you, that Sharm el Sheikh meeting which was happening in the which happened in the last year. In that particular meeting, they have gone for the establishment of this particular fund, but it was operationalized under this COP 28, and nearly $800 million has been raised as of now. Okay, tripling of the renewable energy and doubling of the rate of the improvement of energy efficiency is considered extremely important step toward meeting the gap by 2030. Okay, so the thing is, these two important events what happen, like tripling of the renewable energy capacity and this loss and damage fund, these are well appreciated. Okay, but the thing is, there are many more steps which you have to take when we consider about the fighting the climate change, because whatever you have said, even then they have said that we will triple the energy capacity, but they have not said that which country has to do how much. Okay, they have said that this is the global target. Okay, so it does not put any kind of accountability on the individual countries. Okay, so until unless you have this accountability, there are chances that no country would want to make some efforts or spend some money, because developing countries are anyway not having funds. So that is why role of your developed countries, okay, is kind of important here. And then there was this call for reducing the methane emission. Okay, earlier we have always gone for the call for reducing the carbon emissions, CO2 emissions, mostly carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. But at this particular summit, or you can say conference, they have also mentioned reducing the methane emission, because methane is also methane is also having a considerable amount of potential for global warming. Okay, so when we are talking about after CO2, methane is the gas which has huge potential. So considering that, they have also gone for this particular step. But countries like India, Philippines, even as you can say that even Australia, all countries which are having dairy related activities, or you can say farming related activities, such countries would not want to do something like this, because agriculture is a huge emitter of methane. Okay, you know that we in India we practice rice sowing technique, wherein we flood the farm by water. Okay, in that particular event, there is emission of CH4. Okay, that is your methane. Other than that, when we are talking about animal husbandry, okay, animals also emit a considerable amount of methane. That is why countries like India, Philippines are not in favor of this particular move. Okay, they were kind of reluctant, you can say. Agricultural practices and livestock major source of methane emission, sensitive sectors in these countries. These are sensitive sectors in these countries. So all these things which we have seen, okay, are kind of your outcomes and you can say shortcomings of COP28. There was another thing that they have said that there is a global goal on adaptation. When we are talking about adaptation related to climate change, there are two things: mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation means how can we reduce the climate change itself, or you can slow down the pace of the climate change. That is about mitigation. And then when we are talking about adaptation, it is like whatever happened, how can we respond to that? Okay, let's say there are extreme events like droughts, etc. So how can we go for a crop which is drought resistant? Okay, so that comes in the adaptation. So here you can say they have identified some common global objectives, okay, that is financial resources to adapt such activities. These goals are let's say making food and agriculture climate resilient, reducing climate induced water scarcity. These are some common goals which has been placed for the global community. But again the thing is these are the common goals. They have not provided for any kind of framework to achieve all these things. Even when we are talking about this tripling the energy, or let's say loss and damage fund, etc., they have raised $800 million. Now what lies ahead, we don't know. So all these things are kind of shortcomings that we do not have a clear plan yet. Okay, we have discussed all these things. Okay, let's say as I told you, when we are talking about outcome, we have seen fossil fuel phasing out plan, then we have seen phase down of the coal, methane emission cuts, loss and damage fund, global goal on adaptation. We have seen all these 5 things. Okay, but we can also have some kind of summarized form here: outcomes and the shortcomings of the COP. Global stock take, this is the important thing. In the Paris Climate Agreement, what was said that we will go for stock taking of the effort which are taken on the lines of the climate change. So global stock taking is like when you have a inventory in a business, you take a stock of it. Like that only here we will be taking stock of this climate change related progresses. Okay, whatever goals they have, let's say there are nationally determined goals of the countries, how much they have achieved or not, all these things will be about your global stock taking. In Paris Agreement, it was said that from 2023, starting from 2023, we will take it every 5 years. Okay, so that was one of the expectation that they will talk about this particular thing, but this could not happen. They did not talk about global stock take. So that is one thing that was the expectation, and as well as the shortcoming that they did not talk about it. Okay, then warming records. 2023 is considered to be the to become warmest year. Okay, but the thing is, we know that this is information in public domain and we are quite concerned about it. Still they did not talk about global warming related things, or how to mitigate this, how to make sure that impact of this particular things are how can we face them, how can we adapt according to them. So they did not discuss it as well. Despite record breaking global warming, COP28 did not generate sufficient action to align with the 1.5 degrees Celsius target. So these were the expectations, but they could not perform on that. Other than that, fossil fuel transitions, as I told you that they did not go for any kind of schedule. The agreement lacked concrete schedule or targets. As I told you, they have signed the deal, but they do not have any specifics how to achieve this. So that is one thing. When we are talking about renewable energy, as I told you, there is no clarity on the implementation part, or let's say tripling of the renewable energy. They have not given for the targets for the individual countries, or any kind of commitments for the individual countries. Then coal phase down, as I told you, the provision, there was one provision which says that there will be no new launch of any coal related power plant. Okay, but again that particular thing was dropped in the final provision. So that is exactly whatever your existing Glasgow targets. Okay, so there is nothing new, they have reiterated it from the Glasgow 2 years back. Then methane emission, we have talked about it. Okay, they have said that reduction will be there. There is no specific target again. And then loss and damage fund, they have raised $800 million. Okay, and they are trying to use this money for the recovering from the climate related disaster or the climate induced disasters, and global goal on adaptation we have discussed that as well. Okay, so that is for your this COP28, all the outcomes, all the shortcomings we have discussed. Now here you can see overall COP28 made a stride in acknowledging the need of the transition away from the fossil fuel, that they have done for the first time. Then reducing methane emissions, that was also done for the first time. Establishing fund for the loss and damage, it was already established, but now they have operationalized it, and outline a global adaptation framework. Okay, however, it fell short in setting clear, ambitious short-term goals and lacked detailed plan for key measures like coal phase down and methane emission reduction technologies or targets. Okay, so ultimately that can be your conclusion when we are talking about climate-related efforts in COP28. Okay, so with that, I'll wrap up this article and move towards another one. Okay, hold on. Then revised criminal reforms bill in parliament. What has changed and why? Whatever changes are recommended by the standing committee and parliament has considered those changes, they have made those changes in the bills. Okay, now on August 11, Home Minister has proposed 3 bills, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita BNS 2023 to replace the Indian Penal Code, which is enforced as of now. Then Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita replaced the CRPC, that is the Code of Criminal Procedure. Okay, and then Bharatiya Sakshya Bill 2023, that is to replace Indian Evidence Act. Okay, here you can say that there is a change in the nomenclature, there is a change in the philosophy as well. But the thing is, these are not just the nomenclature change, but they are making significant change inside the bill as well. Okay, and that was need of the hour considering the complicated legal system has become. Okay, so that is a very important step, or you can say a step in the forward direction. But the thing here is that all the stakeholders should be involved in this thing, and then these laws should be made. Okay, considering that they have referred this bill to the standing committee of the parliament, and that committee has made some recommendation, and on the basis of those recommendations they are changing these bills. Okay, first thing was handcuffs. Okay, handcuffs, you can say when a person is tied in handcuffs, you can say that some kind of issue of dignity or human rights arises. Okay, but there are certain incidences, certain criminal acts which are heinous in nature, and for which such handcuffs option should be there, because there is security of the personnel who is arresting, or you can say security of the person who is in service. Okay, that is also important for us. Okay, considering that the committee has said that the use of handcuffs as allowed in the clause 43 clause 43 subclause 3 of the BNSS to prevent the escape of individuals accused of serious offence and ensure the safety of the police officers and staff during the arrest. This is the objective behind handcuffs. And then they have panel has suggested that this should be restricted to the heinous crime like rape, murders, rather than extended to a person committing economic offences, because economic offences can be of various type, various degrees. Okay, that is why they have said that economic offence should be kept out of this particular purview of putting handcuffs. Okay, the government has actually considered this particular point, and they have removed that economic offence from their earlier proposed bill. Okay, they have deleted the economic offence. BNSS has extra line on offences against the state. So whenever there is an offence against state, okay, any kind of threat to the integrity and sovereignty of India, or such activities, at that particular point of time they can go for this handcuffing, include those that endanger the country's sovereignty, integrity and unity. Okay, that is considered as offence against your state. In that regard, they have made it more discretionary. Okay, it extends the use of handcuffs to person being produced before court as well. Okay, in these crimes, if a person is being produced in front of court, then also they can go for the handcuffs. Okay, so that is one thing. They have removed the economic offences from the earlier provision of the bills. Okay, so that is one change. Other than that, the second change is related to mercy petitions. Okay, Earlier, whenever a convict is actually given death sentence, or at that particular point of time, the person himself or the convict himself or their kin or their relations, friends, etc. can go for filing a mercy petition in front of governor or president. Okay, after the sentence is been given, in within the 30 days you can go for the mercy petition to the governor, and once governor let's say rejected the petition, you can go for the mercy petition for president within the 60 days. Okay, so there are two time limits, one is 60 days, second is one is 30 days for governor, 60 days in front of president. Once president reject this particular thing, you cannot appeal for that in any kind of court. Okay, the decision of president cannot be appealed. Okay, now prior to the submitting of the plea, the governor or president, it may be presented to the center or state government's home department. Earlier what used to happen is that before sending it to the governor or the president, this plea was sent to the department, or the you can say central government or the state government, okay, in their home department or the home ministry, you can say. So that was the one thing. Now here panel suggested that the quasi judicial board should be constituted to deal with the issue, and it should not be made the prerogative of the executive. Okay, so here in the reform bills, what they have done, that bill has deleted the provision that allowed mercy petition to be forwarded to the home department of the state government or the central government. Okay, so basically this requirement wherein the petition has to be sent to the state government or the central government, that has been removed. Okay, then preventive detention powers. Okay, so they have expanded the, you can say, powers of the police who is taking preventive actions. Okay, they have allowed police to detain or remove person resisting, refusing, ignoring or disregarding the confirm or the direction given by the police officer, or let's say any kind of officer who is going for the prevention of any crime. Okay, and take them before judicial magistrate, or in petty cases release them within the whenever the occasion has passed. Okay, so let's say there is some kind of event that is supposed to happen, and police get an information that there is some likely of any offense to be happening over there. So they have gone, arrested the person and kept in their custody for a while, and then they can present it to judicial magistrate, and then judicial magistrate can decide. Or if there is a petty offense, they can directly release the person when the occasion is passed. Okay, so now there is no time period mentioned when we are talking about the occasion is passed. Okay, so the panel has suggested that you should provide for a time frame. Okay, so the government has did the same, and they have given 24 hours as the time frame. Okay, they have said that in place of when the occasion is passed, so they have given within the 24 hours when the occasion is passed. Okay, here you can see person detained may be taken to a magistrate, or in petty cases will be released within 24 hours. Okay, so that is another change they have made. Other than that, here you can see these are the changes they have made related to handcuffs, as I mentioned. Then second is mercy petition, which we have discussed. Third is preventive detentions mentioned, and then the fourth is community services. Okay, in Indian legal system, we do not have any kind of community services as the punishment. As of now, we don't have it. Okay, in countries like USA, etc., we have community services as punishment of some petty crimes. Okay, like theft, etc. You can go for the community service as well. Okay. Now, the previous bill included community services as punishment without defining it. Okay. In this particular reformed bill, what they have done is that they have defined the community services. Okay. So they have defined it. They have said that as a work ordered by the court for the benefit of the community without entitlement of remuneration. Okay. So court will give you some directions. For the benefit of the community, you have to perform certain activity, and there will be no remuneration, or you cannot ask for remuneration. Entitlement means you don't have any right, okay, regarding the remuneration. It also expands the community services to cover additional offences. Okay, they have added some offences as well. So these are the reformed criminal bill which has been placed now again after the recommendations of the standing committee of the parliament. So moving further. Okay, here menstrual leave could lead to discrimination against women. Okay, so that is a personal opinion. Okay, she has said that Union Minister Smriti Irani said that in the Rajya Sabha that this is one personal opinion. Okay, here they have said that there was some question which has been raised by the opposition regarding the menstrual leave could lead to they have asked for if government is considering providing a menstrual leave for women. Okay, or you can say for menstruators. Okay, now Smriti Irani in the Rajya Sabha said that menstrual leave could lead to discrimination against women in the workforce. Recently, you know that given today, women are opting for more and more economic opportunities. Okay, now the thing is, we know that there are some kind of hurdles. Let's say you can say, first of all, there is workplace discrimination. Other than that, there is a glass ceiling. You can say, you can go and check all these terms. Okay, these some kind of hurdles are already present in the market when we are considering labor or you can say women workforce. Okay, but now government is saying that if we go for one more event like menstrual leaves, etc., in the private sector or you can say in any sector which is providing job, there can be a discrimination based on that, because obviously these private companies, etc., targets more of your productivity, or let's say you can say that they target more of their profit. Okay, so obviously if they are paying you, they will not consider that you can get an extra leave. Considering that if government goes for some compulsory event like this, there might be a discrimination. That are the views of our minister. Okay, so here you can say menstruating and menstrual cycle is not a handicap. Okay, so they are saying that this is not a handicap, it's a natural part of woman's life journey. Okay, and here one important fact they have mentioned that Bihar was the first state. Bihar was the first state to have menstrual leave in their policy. Okay. Other than that, there were some issues, or you can say some questions. She has said that that is not the purview of the ministry here. Okay, and there is this Suvidha sanitary napkins. Okay, so this is Suvidha sanitary napkins, which is under your Jan Aushadhi. PM Pradhan Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Okay, this is part of that Pariyojana where Suvidha sanitary napkins are distributed at the cost of ₹1. Okay, 1 rupee. So that is to make them affordable for all section of the community. So that is why I have taken this article. There is not much. This is just a personal opinion. Okay, and this particular fact you can remember that Bihar was the first state to go for that. Other than that, there is this Suvidha sanitary napkin service, or where Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. So this is part of that, wherein we are providing sanitary napkins at the cost of ₹1. Okay. Other than that, let's move forward. World affairs. Let's see. Israel Hamas war, India shifts stance back UNGA resolution on immediate ceasefire. Okay, India has for the first time voted in favor of draft resolution in United Nations General Assembly that demanded immediate humanitarian ceasefire, unconditional release of all the hostages. Okay, so this resolution was moved by Egypt. Okay, for the here you can say immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Okay, in the Gaza area where Israel is doing this war activities over there. And second thing is unconditional release of hostages. Okay, so this is perceived as a shift in the Delhi's position. Okay, as India has not called for a ceasefire in the statement so far. Okay, whatever statements India has made as of now, they have not called for any kind of ceasefire. Though they have said that there should not be any kind of violence against the civilians, etc. But the thing is, that is the first time where India is supporting the ceasefire. Okay, in October, India has abstained from the UNGA on a resolution that called for the immediate humanitarian truce, leading to a cessation of hostilities and unhindered humanitarian access to the Gaza Strip. At that particular point of time, India actually abstained from the voting. India did not vote at all. Okay, now that India has voted in the favor of the immediate ceasefire. Okay. India has voted in favor of resolution just adopted by the UNGA. As I told you that before that, UNSC, in UNSC also there was a resolution which was placed, but that could not be passed because of the USA's veto. Then this resolution was placed in UN General Assembly, and where it was passed by the overwhelming majority. Okay. Now there are few countries which could not, which did not vote in this particular issue. That USA, Austria and Israel are among the countries which actually voted against the resolution. Obviously, USA and Israel will go for against the resolution. They have also given some kind of amendments. The USA has proposed some amendments, and those amendments could not pass in the General Assembly. Okay. Here you can say the resolution introduced by the Egypt, an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, and reiterates the demand that all parties comply with the obligation under international law, including international humanitarian law, notably about the protection of the civilians. So here they are talking about the protection of the civilian, okay, and the you can say immediate ceasefire in the region. The immediate and the unconditional release of all hostages, okay, as well as the ensuring humanitarian access. Okay. So these are the pointers which has been considered in the resolution which is passed by the UN General Assembly. USA called for insertion of the paragraph in the main draft, unequivocally reject and condemns the heinous terrorist attack by the Hamas that took place in Israel on October 7. So basically that was the contention when USA put a veto on UNSC resolution. They have said that they did not mention the atrocities which has been done by the Hamas on October 7, because of which they have vetoed the resolution in the UNSC. In UNGA, now they are saying that you should have included this particular thing, that, and USA has moved the amendment, but that could not passed here also. Okay. So now they have General Assembly has passed this particular resolution, but the thing is this is non-binding in nature. UN General Assembly resolutions are not binding in nature. They just have political and moral persuasive character. Okay. So that is about world affairs from this particular article. Then Australia can manage differences with India. Considering the events which is happening between USA and Canada and India, this particular country is also part of Five Eyes. So this Five Eyes is an intelligence sharing alliance. Okay. There are 5 countries in this particular alliance, that is USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and UK. Okay. These are the 5 countries which are part of this Five Eyes alliances. In this alliance, they are actually going for the intelligence sharing whenever there is a threat to the global security or the security of these countries. Okay. So now here you can say Canada and USA is part of this particular alliance, and now Australia is quite concerned about the incidents that has been happening in the USA and Canada, and now the USA and Canada are putting some kind of allegation on India as well. So considering that there are some kind of concern with respect to that particular event, but Australia has said that they will resolve that things or manage their differences bilaterally. Okay, because they have quite good relations with India. They have trustworthy relations with India. Okay, I took this article to tell you about this Five Eye alliances. This is also called as FVEY. Okay. So that is called the Five Eyes Alliance, in which there are 5 countries, okay, USA, Canada, UK, Australia and New Zealand. Okay. So that is about this article. With that, all the articles are covered. Now we'll have a look at the practice question. What were the objective outlined in the Tokyo Declaration? Okay, we have discussed this Tokyo Declaration yesterday. Okay, this was related to your AI. Okay, Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence Summit, which has happened in New Delhi. Okay, before that it happened in Tokyo, and wherein there was this Tokyo resolution, and in this year there was Delhi Declaration. Okay, so we will see that some other time, but now you have to focus on the Tokyo Declaration. Options were given: emphasizing on the global cooperation for responsible AI development. This was the right answer. You must have attempted this question. Okay, so most of you have given the right answer. So here I can say that the option A would be your right answer, emphasizing on the global cooperation for the responsible AI development. Other option, let's have a look at that. Advocating for the ban on AI in all technological advancements. Now that is a regressive statement. You can say this is a statement which is kind of absolute in nature, extreme statement in nature. So we cannot, if you don't have any idea, there is one thing you can reject this, because whenever we are talking about AI, we are talking about the usefulness of the AI as well. Okay, so we will not go for an all technological advancements ban. Okay, promoting unrestricted AI proliferation in warfare scenarios. Now here also they are saying that unrestricted, nothing would be unrestricted. Either we are trying to regulate those things, or we are already having regulations. Okay, there can be shortcomings, but nothing can be unrestricted. Now limiting AI applications solely on the solely to the developed nation, that is also a extreme statement. So now A would be your answer. Now you might think that that is very simple question, but when you are attempting all these questions in the pressure of the exam, all the statement you might miss this, you might miss all these things. So that is why be cautious about attempting such questions. Now let's see today's question. Hijra ka khanka is associated with which religious or spiritual practices? Okay, our aim to take this practice question was to revise time with time to time. We have taken this article related to Hijra ka khanka. Okay, that is in Mehroli. So now you have to tell that it is associated with the which religious or spiritual practice. Options are A. Sufism, B. Buddhism, C. Hinduism, D. Jainism. You have to attempt this question and answer in the comment box. So let's see the question for your mains. Recently, COP28 has been in news. Discuss the achievement and shortcomings in setting immediate climate goals, particularly concerning target of 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature change. This article, the first article we have discussed, is the answer of this question. So you can go, after the class, you can just go write the answer and include all the parameters which we have discussed. Okay, and you can give a way forward, or the conclusion which we have given is quite well, so you can choose that. So that would cover one topic for you, that is Conference of Parties 28 from your environment point of view. So with that, I'll wrap up the session. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.